And joining me now here on the Stripe Show podcast, John Calabria, Senior Technical Advisor for OnCore Golf. How you doing, John?
Good morning. Fine. How are you?
I'm doing well. How was, hopefully you had a great Thanksgiving. Looks like the sun is out up there in South Carolina, right?
Correct.
All right. Well, you had a good Thanksgiving?
Very good.
Excellent. Well, let's get right into it here. John, you've got a lot of background and experience with big names in the golf ball industry. Tell us a little bit about that experience and where you've been and working on these golf balls.
Well, interestingly enough, I started my golf ball career, if you will, with Spalding in Chicopee.
Okay.
And it was interesting because that was right at the beginning of the two-piece ball, the Surlyn two-piece ball. Spalding was at the forefront of molding those, so I got to see that firsthand. But at the time that I was there, they had also been making round balls and were slowly phasing that out in favor of going to injection molding golf balls. So it was quite good to be there during that time. Later on, with a stint with a non-golf ball company, I went to work for Titleist, which, of course, at the time was the leader in the golf industry. And you saw a very different situation with them because they were making solid golf balls. They were making round golf balls. They were making the DT, which was a solid center wound ball. And you got to see the whole gamut of golf balls that were being made. And a very big operation, big like Spalding was, and really got thrown into the mix in terms of coming up with new products and trying to develop new products. And one of them, the big one, was the urethane cover, which was going to be used on the Titleist Professional. Mm. And that golf ball was the first golf ball with a successful urethane cover. And many companies tried to make a urethane cover but failed, or it wasn't very good. And we were able to marry the process with the product for the first time ever and came up with what was, during that time, a very, very good golf ball. Because as everybody might remember, a lot of golf balls were very soft and easily damaged. And we wanted something that had very good durability, which the urethane cover did, but excellent performance at the same time. And so that was quite an experience. Mm. After that, I joined Dunlop Maxfly, and they also had the Slazenger brand as part of their portfolio, and just kept working on new ideas, new products, and moving that brand forward with a cast urethane covered golf ball, which was the Revolution. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
That was quite a ball. That was a solid center wound golf ball, and people considered it the hybrid that transitioned from the round ball to the solid ball. And that was really, really a good golf ball. It was long. It had really good control. And the people who were playing it, like Freddie Couples and others, just really liked that golf ball. And after that, I joined TaylorMade because TaylorMade ended up buying the Maxfly brand. And I worked mainly on the production side for TaylorMade because of all the experience I'd had designing golf balls and working with the production side to get new golf balls introduced. They wanted me to help them with their production side. And so I worked in the factory. When new products came in, we had a team that would transition the product into the factory and also making the process more efficient. And finally, after that, I started working for OnCore. And the reason for joining OnCore was they had this hollow center metal golf ball, hollow metal center, I should say, golf ball, that they were having some issues with it. They wanted to make it better, and so asked me if I could come in and help them with that effort. So I joined them to make that ball better. And we did some work on it. And we got it to a point where it was a better golf ball, but realized we probably weren't going to be able to take that ball to the level that we wanted. and so started working on golf balls that incorporated that perimeter weighting concept that we got with the hollow metal center, but gave us the performance we needed to appeal to a broad range of golfers. And that's where we are today.
So talk about that perimeter weighting, right? Because and what that means, scale it down. Perimeter weighting in a golf ball. It's in the Elixir.
Yes.
And it's in the Vero X1, right?
That's correct. Well, perimeter weighting is a concept basically where you move weight from in the golf ball further out towards the cover. And that's what we've done with both Elixir and Vero, as you stated. We've put a very dense metal in the mantle, which is on the outside of the core, of course, and under the cover. And that allows us to increase the moment of inertia of the golf ball. And moment of inertia is a property of golf balls, but other products that resist rotation. And what I mean by that is it resists side spin. Okay, so it makes the ball more accurate. Mm. So as we've seen and heard from a lot of the guys playing our golf ball, that as you hit it and it starts to fly, it is straighter than most golf balls that are out there now. And it resists that side spin that's going to push the ball into the rough, let's say, as opposed to landing back in the fairway. Now, if somebody's got a huge slice or hook in the ball, there isn't any amount of moment of inertia that's going to help them keep that ball in play.
That's my job.
Okay. But it does work. We see it in flight testing from the machine, when the machine's hitting the golf ball, the iron bar, and we can tell what it's doing to the trajectory. And so we're very pleased with the kind of performance we're getting with both of those golf balls. The Elixir being a little bit softer feeling golf ball, really good for playing in cooler temperatures, but still maintaining that perimeter weighting and the distance that people want, giving great spin and feel. Vero, a little bit firmer, more for the higher swing speed player, but really long distance. It's really, really good with that. And it gives you that low spin off the tee that accentuates that improved distance, but also the higher spin into the greens. And it also has a higher trajectory than Elixir. So some of the better players really like that. They can launch the ball high with their irons. And if the greens are firm, you're going to have a better opportunity to hold the greens with that higher trajectory. But what's key for the golf ball, for the Vero golf ball, is that it's less affected by the wind in that case. So you might say, well, you launch it high, it's going to get blown around a lot. Well, because of the perimeter weighting and the increased moment of inertia, it maintains its flight and its accuracy.
It's interesting you say all that because, OnCore sponsors this podcast, and I've been touting the Vero X1 since it came out, in the things. And of course, they've briefed me on it, but just as a player hitting it, the first thing that comes to my mind, I always say, is that the golf ball is long. It's a very long golf ball off the tee.
Yes.
It's very interesting. You were talking about how it resists side spin. I do feel like I am more accurate with it, but I love how you said the irons into the greens, that you can launch it higher into the greens as well. And it's really quite durable too.
It is. One of the interesting properties is a reduction in spin decay. And what I mean by that is how quickly does a golf ball shed spin in flight? And there are a number of factors operating on the golf ball that would cause it to lose spin. So we may recall from years ago with the Balata ball, you'd hit it, it would spin quite a lot with a driver, typically around 3,000 RPM. And in some cases, depending on how much spin you put on it, would upshoot. And then as it would upshoot, it would drop out of the sky. And that was a problem for that ball. With the Vero, you have low spin, but the ball holds on to its spin a little longer and doesn't get rid of it and stays in the air longer. And it makes it just a longer golf ball because of that. And two-piece balls are also in that same category. They tend to hold on to their spin a little longer. They don't shed it as quickly. So when you combine the distance of a two-piece ball with the feel and spin of what used to be a wound ball, but is now a high performance solid ball, you get a great product. And that's what Vero X1 does.
Let's talk about some of the features here between. So you have the Vero. You talked about maybe for your more skilled players to play the Vero, but then you said the Elixir was softer.
Go ahead.
You were saying that then the Elixir was a softer ball and better for cold weather. Talk about, if you can, maybe to skill set and some of the different properties between those two for the listener. And like, okay, which one would I kind of fall into?
Okay. Well, the Elixir can still be used by the better player if they want that softer feel.
Okay.
Okay. It still has very good distance. Whereas the Vero is a little bit firmer. When I said using the Elixir in cooler weather, I did that because it has that softer feel. Not to say you couldn't use the Vero as well in cooler weather. It's going to feel a little firmer, but some people like that. And so it just gives you the choice. The big difference between the two balls is the feel of the Elixir is softer than the Vero. And Elixir has a slightly lower trajectory than Vero. Vero has that high launch, low spin, whereas Elixir has kind of a medium launch trajectory, low spin. And they both spin very well into the greens for that kind of control that the better player would want with wedges and shorter irons.
Right. And I guess the sound off the putter face would probably, right? Would it be a little softer with the Elixir coming off with the properties, or would it be a minor difference there between the two?
No, you can feel the difference and hear the difference actually, because feel is a very subjective subject when it comes to golf balls, and it relates mostly to hearing. It's the sound of the ball coming off the club face. So yes, a player would hear or feel that the Elixir has a softer cover, even though the cover of both balls is the same urethane. The Elixir has a slightly thicker cover than the Vero.
Talk about the third ball, which is the Avant, and those properties.
Yeah, the Avant is a very soft two-piece ball, and it's for that slower swing speed player who's looking for a little more distance. Now, with a two-piece ball compared to a three-piece, four-piece, or five-piece ball, you're going to give up a little performance. It's a compromise, and that compromise comes around the greens. And when I talk to people about finding the right ball for their game, I tell them to start at the green and go backwards to the tee. And what I mean by that is you want a ball that's going to react the way you need it to around the green to save strokes. You got to be able to get up and down when you miss the green. And we know that the higher handicappers have a tendency to miss more greens than the better player. Well, now they got to get up and down to score. Find the ball that helps you do that by getting the control you need. And the Avant will give you very good control around the greens. It's not the same as the Elixir or the Vero, but it's still good for that player who wants that type of ball. And also, honestly, when buying golf balls, you have to consider price and durability. And so the Avant is a lower price golf ball, and for somebody who may tend to lose more golf balls, they may want that kind of ball instead of paying for the Elixir or the Vero. So it's really a choice in terms of overall performance and what you need off the tee and on the greens versus what you want to spend on the golf ball. How long do you play a golf ball? Many people try to keep a golf ball in play as long as possible.
Right. Yeah, it's a great lineup. I think when I first came onto the team and saw the Avant and then the Elixir, once the Vero was added, then I felt like, okay, now they've got the complete product line here. You know, they're speaking to a lot of people now, the masses of golfers, and there's something there for everyone. So it's exciting to see the success of OnCore, the Avant, the Elixir, and now the Vero X1. And I tell people all the time, the Vero X1 was made for me. That golf ball was absolutely made for me. So I thank you, John, for making that golf ball for me and for for so many around the world. And we'll keep spreading the word. I know you've got a busy day. I wanted to shed some light on just kind of the background of how these golf balls are coming about. Smart people like yourself putting them together. So we appreciate you coming on the podcast.
My pleasure. Great talking to you.